additive property of equality with negative coefficient. Okay, so we've done the additive property before in another video. So really, what this tells us is we can add or subtract from both sides of the equal sign in order to solve an equation. So if I have 265 minus W equals 115, they start by moving the W in this one. You don't necessarily have to move the W, and I'll show you why. So what you can start doing, we want to solve for W, so we want to get W by itself. So actually, I would start with moving the 265. Be careful, this negative actually belongs to the W. So what we want to do is look in front of the 265. Because there's nothing there, there's an invisible plus sign. So in order to move it to the other side of the equal sign, I want to subtract 265 from both sides of the equal sign. Remember, the equal sign kind of has this imaginary divisionary line that we have to make sure we do whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So 265 minus 265 cancels. That's what we wanted to happen. That becomes 0. We bring down negative W. Don't forget to bring the negative with it. Equals, we have 115 minus 256. And make sure you do subtract these. Make sure you rewrite it. Don't subtract straight down like this, because you'll end up getting to the end and you'll get a funky number. So if I subtract like this, I get 150. Crossed off my 0 there because I was being silly. I usually only cross off zeros if they're alone. All right, so the only thing with this one, and they moved the W so that you didn't end up with a negative W at the end. But you don't necessarily have to do that step. What you can do is, if you have negative W or negative anything, a negative variable that you don't want, you just take that negative and you move it to the other side. It's the same idea as dividing by -1, but we just simply take that negative and move it over to the other side. So instead of negative W equals 150, I have W equals negative 150. So that's it. All right, let's go ahead and clear this and get started. All right, so we have negative U plus 172 equals 260. And each one of them is going to, it tells us that they're a negative coefficient. So we're going to have to deal with that negative variable each time, because that's part of the title here. All right, so we want to start getting this U by itself. So we're going to undo what's being done to it by subtracting 172, because we're adding 172, so I want to subtract it. So again, remember, I did it to the left side of the equation. I have to do it to the right side. I'm going to bring down negative U. 172 minus 172 cancels. This becomes 0. That's what we wanted to happen. And then I bring down the equal sign. Now we just need to subtract. So make sure you're doing your borrowing. They don't give us a calculator on this one. You're still welcome to use a calculator. That's still perfectly fine. But we can also do this with some borrowing here. So we end up with 88. Now remember, I don't want negative U, so I'm going to give this U to the other side, or not the U, sorry, the negative to the other side. And then I'm just going to have positive U equals negative 88. So I literally just took the negative, put it on the other side. Again, that's the same thing. What we're really doing is dividing by -1. But in this case, it's easy enough to think we're just giving it to the other side. All right. So let's go ahead and clear, and next. So we have 229 equals 156 minus U. So again, we're trying to solve for this variable. So we want to get it by itself. So I'm going to look at what's being done, and I'm going to do the opposite. So again, be careful. I keep saying this, but a lot of students will look and say, oh, it's being subtracted. The negative belongs to the U. What's in front of the 156 is actually nothing. There's an equal sign there, but we don't have a plus or a minus. So if you don't see a plus or a minus, it means that it's a plus or a positive. So to undo a positive, we subtract. So we're going to subtract 156 from both sides. So I'm going to subtract straight down here. I get 3. I need to borrow, and I get 7. All right, and that's going to equal 156 minus 156 cancels. It becomes 0. Again, that's what we wanted. And then we're going to bring down negative u. Don't forget to bring the negative with it, because now what we need to do is give this negative to the other side. So I have negative 73 equals u. So negative 73. Check. All right, one more of these. Negative u plus 209 equals 81. Okay, so we're going to immediately start solving for u. I'm going to undo what's being done. So I'm going to subtract 209 since I'm adding it. Make sure you do it from both sides here. I'm going to bring down negative u. 209 minus 209 becomes 0. It cancels just like we wanted it to. And now make sure you rewrite this before you subtract it. Otherwise, you're going to get some funky answer. So we end up with 8. And I have to borrow and 2 and 1. And remember, so we subtracted because they were opposites. But my bigger number is 209 and it's negative. So that means my answer will be negative. So now I want to take this negative and give it to the other side. So this is the first time we've given the negative to the other side, and there's already a negative here. So u becomes positive, and now I have a negative and another negative. Well, two negatives make a positive. So it's actually going to end up being a positive 128 because we have to flip that sign. All right, so we get 128. Check. All right, we finished another one. Yay!